Good evening, everybody. Mostly good evening to all of you. And if anyone's joining from other parts of the world, then good morning or good afternoon. Mostly good morning, I think. So good morning to you as well. Thank you so much for joining us. Like I said earlier, I mean, I'm excited about every time we have someone from helping us out with the webinar. But this one's extra special because Utsavi is some like usually like the last time I remember someone got in through in their first attempt, and I remember saying in the webinar that please don't go away from the webinar thinking that if you don't get in the first attempt, then then there's no hope for you. So it's a way here is an example with two elements. One is a profile so good and so clearly hard worked upon with a lot of elements. And I've personally seen her constantly, tirelessly working to just diversify every bit of her profile, which truly showed resilience and like valor, like the kinds of things that we write in the profile. I mean, the application is what Utsavi really showed. And on the other side, Caapid did test her patience a little because she had to plow through it a couple of times to get through. So this is truly, I mean, more real of a warrior story. And I really, really hope that all of you who are probably feeling stuck at this point will take inspiration from this and learning points from this. This is just, I usually don't say anything about the host, Utsavi, but today I felt the need to say that, just a brief from my end. But now over to you, where I would love for you to tell them a little brief about your journey and how are you here and what have you done. And before you begin, I would also want to say if there's anyone here who's willing to show their faces and be here, it'll be much more engaging. Oh, hi, Dr. Madiha. You were there last time as well, I remember. Showing your face, just like they did, Dr. Sandhya. If you all could show your camera, and show your face, it would be much more nice, and also nice for Utsavi to speak to faces and not letters. And I promise this practice will help you as you sort of crawl into the American way of things. Hi, Dr. Kavan. Nice to see you as well. Yes, Utsavi, over to you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Th thank you so much, Lynn, first of all, inviting me to do this webinar and allowing me to share my journey. Uh, First of all, I just want to tell every aspirant that congratulations that you have reached thus far and you have decided to take this step. It's definitely very challenging, and I'm sure you all may have been seeing that at every step. And I'm sure like all of you will get in. Until I got in, everybody was telling me like, don't worry, sooner or later you will be in the school. And I never believed that because it wasn't working out for me. And to be honest, I got into my fifth cycle. So definitely I was like not really believing those words. But when I actually got in, then I am also telling you the same thing, that yes, sooner or later it will work out. I really hope it happens sooner for all of you. But please keep working, and please don't feel disheartened. And if you do feel that, please, please, please be in touch with your family and friends. De-stress yourself. Do whatever makes you feel better, but do not stay away from your dream. That's one thing that I want to tell you, because so many people told me. So brief about me is that I completed my Bachelor of Dental Surgery back in 2014. So it's been 10 years for me since I graduated, and then from India. And then I practiced there for 2 years, almost 2 years. And then I decided to pursue Master of Public Health in 2016. So that's when I came to the US. I studied there for 2 years. My program for was of 2 years. And if anybody would like to know what type of public health that was, I did not have a major. That was a general public health. So during that, I mean, I anyway determined that sooner or later I would go into DMD or DDS program. So then I started looking for the opportunities. And then let me tell you, my first shadowing slash assisting opportunity, how I got. So I was actually doing the volunteering for National Public Health Week. So basically, people who may or may not know like about MPH, they would know that every year in April, The week is celebrated as National Public Health Week by American Public Health Association, and so that's all over the America. So that was there, and then I was like a representative from my program. So then uh, that all were like different hospitals and companies were there, and then I was like really meeting everybody. And then I met one person. She is currently a part-time professor at NYU, and I met with her. And that's when she told me that her husband actually owns a private practice in Queens, New York. And that's how I landed my shadowing slash assisting opportunity. And let me tell you, they have been a wonderful couple, like my parents in America, because I am still in touch with them. And then, they were so happy to know about my progress. So my point is, you never know. Try to talk with people. You never know where you can find your way. And then because I have been on visa, I'm still on visa. So then I needed to make sure that I have a job to stay in the US. So then I was working until now based on my public health degree. But then my destination was always dentistry. So then what I did was Monday to Friday, because to maintain my visa status, I was working full time. And then on Saturdays, I used to do volunteer dental assisting at the person I mentioned. So that's what I did for, like, again, part time may not be seem too much, but it's something because you have to show your efforts. And again, dentistry in home country and US is definitely different. Like basics would be same, but then the way you talk to people, the way you understand the culture is very different. And that is why it's important for you to know how the dental settings work in the US before you actually enter the dental school. That's why, because sometimes people feel that, oh, I do not have this experience. Can I still get in? That means you do not understand why they are actually looking for the experience. Because if you have 3 months of shadowing, what did you learn from that? Did you try to understand the culture? Did you try to understand the patient who are coming to the office? That's what's important. Nobody's going to teach you the root canal basics while you are assisting because you are already a dentist. So try to learn and take the positive experience out of it. That's more important. So I have been doing dental assisting, community service, dental, non-dental, everything. I was trying to always enhance my profile. For TOEFL, uh, I gave many times, trust me, many times when I say this, because many times I got stuck on 95, 97, 98, 99, and I knew my weak sections, so I kept working on it. And then, so, do not apply if you feel that your TOEFL is not good. It happened with me that I applied one cycle to 5 or 7 schools, and then my TOEFL was 95. Now I was like, okay, yeah, let's take a chance. That was total waste of money, and I did not understand it then. And I shouldn't have applied. That's what I feel. But if you are confident that you can, if you want to take a chance, you can. But I still suggest that the higher score is the better one because it makes you in the competitive range. If two applicants have a similar profile, then something needs to be there that they can invite you. But that doesn't mean everything depends on TOEFL. So just saying that, try to do your best in TOEFL. 100 or 100 plus or even 105 plus would make it better. That's the only thing. Also, I did not get 105 plus, but just saying, if you can get, definitely wonderful. Also, for me, I took part one, NBD part one and part two. But I completed those exams like by 2019. And I kept applying, and some schools were like they would take it within 5 years, and I'm sure there are more schools like that now. So then I also took INBD in 2023 to make sure that I'm showing my efforts and I'm making sure that I'm updated with the new exams or knowledge. I was also going to take ADAT, but somehow it did not work for me, so I could not take it at that time. But I did take INBD. I also made sure that I'm always updating something every year in my application. So then, I don't exactly remember the dates, but then I also did preceptorship at Boston University. I'm sure many of you have done, or maybe many of you are planning to do. It's 1 month preceptorship, which I did, that was in general dentistry. And that was my first step to understand how the pre-doctoral clinic works in US dental school. Because how it works in our home country, all of us know. But then how it works here, because first of all the materials you get, that's from the school. You don't have to bring it from your home, or you don't have to purchase it from outside. So the dispensaries, how you talk with those people, which material you need, because some material you may not have seen it back in home country, so you are always trying to get familiar with that. Although how the x-rays work again would be similar in private practice and dental school, still important to know all the competency exams, electronic health record system. So I got familiar with those things. 1 month was a little less for me, but I kept doing it. And then what happened was in 2023, I decided to do another preceptorship to understand more of this in deep. So then I applied for AGD preceptorship at UCSF School of Dentistry. And then I did that for a year and a half. So meaning from April 2023 to June 2024, meaning until I got accepted. So then I did that until then. But I can say that that was also one of the wonderful experiences I have had, because the faculty was really good. I was assisting the AGD residents, and I was also assisting the faculty over there. So I was definitely learning a lot. Like definitely from 8 to 5, I was there assisting. And then the faculty was so nice that when they were doing the crown prep, they were also like teaching me how they are doing all the margins, and how we have the basics of crown prep. That was very useful for me. And the best part was that so I took Dr. Duggan hands-on bench prep course, but then I did not have enough practice after that. So then the best part for me was that during this preceptorship, I was also able to do the bench prep practice over there in the simulation lab. So then this was like really helpful to me, because I could sit in the evening and also practice. And then the faculty was there to push us that we also focus on our hand skills. So then for 6 to 8 months, I kept doing this, and it really, really helped me. It refined my hand skills. Like I was little out of touch after taking the bench prep course, but then I was able to refine it. And trust me, when I started it again, my first 2 days were disaster. I was literally questioning my choice, that how I'm going to become a dentist in the US, because that happened. And I definitely told that to my faculty. I was like, no, this is not working. I don't know why am I doing like this. I don't understand what's going on. And he told me that it's okay, completely okay. Just keep practicing. And I kept practicing for 6 to 8 months, and I could see the difference. Like the way I started, I have all the photos even now, and I could see. So you need to have some patience. Yes, we will doubt ourselves, but please keep going. It will work out for sure. And then so this experience was like really helpful for me. And then they also helped me with some research. So, because I had public health background, I had done some non-dental research internship. So then I had some idea. But then again, I did not have dental research experience. So then this was a really good learning curve. And then another opportunity was specifically to research, which I did at University of Michigan. So I was a research assistant for my mentor. But let me tell you, to receive that opportunity, before receiving that opportunity, I'm not exaggerating. I emailed at least 80 to 90 dental professors in the whole US, in every dental school, like each and every dental school. Two of those opportunities on East and West Coast were going to work out for me. I did have like the final confirmation, and then I also signed, they also signed, and then at the end they said, "Oh, school policies are different, and we can't do this anymore." So I faced those things as well, where it was like, "Oh yes, it's right here. I'm going to go there," and then it stopped. So again, please keep doing this. I so many people also told me that unfortunately they cannot have the volunteers in their lab. That is totally understandable. Sometimes that happens, but try to find your way and also look at the opportunities which you are interested in. Because if you go with like a broader perspective that yes, I will do anything, that does not help here in the US, because you need to have some clarity in which area you are interested in. And that's how I also received the opportunity, and then it helped me because my mentor at that school uh, was so good, and he's still in touch with me because I have been still asking him all the questions and everything. He helped me, he motivated me in every step of my way, because when I was on the edge of again giving up, and when I told him, I was like, I don't understand if I should do CAPID anymore, if I should look into PASS, or how I should work on this. And he told me, okay, let's try one more time, and then maybe we can think how to proceed further. And I did try one more time, and it worked out for me. So definitely, you need those people who push out your boundaries, who push you out of your comfort zone. So work towards that. And I have had many conversations with Flynn as well. I have all those messages as well, even now. Like I was telling Flynn, I was like, Flynn, nothing is working out. I don't know what I should do more. Like I don't understand that if someone is looking as a checklist, then yes, someone can check everything in my profile, but then it's still not working out. But then if something is not working out, then you need to also do the assessment of your own profile. Because if I now go and look back at my personal statements, I do not like any of them until I got accepted. Yes, I did work on them, but they were like, I did not like them. So then, sometimes my point is, do the retrospective, like, analysis of your profile as well before asking someone as well. Yes, ask for guidance, not denying, that's very important, but do the own analysis as well on what you think you can improve or what you should do. Then only you will be able to look for further experiences. So I can only say, like, look for the experiences that help you, not because I tell you that preceptorship helped me or I did preceptorship, because uh, to be very honest with you, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and then a huge investment. I had to do it because I had a full-time job, so I was not able to devote so much time. So then I looked for the alternative where I can manage both things. So that's why it did work for me, but doesn't mean that it would work for all of you. So even if it is volunteer dental assistant, okay, let me tell you, I did not work as a paid dental assistant. It was a volunteer dental assistant. So if you get even volunteer, do that, whatever it is, volunteer, do that. Do not think on money, because I know this process is very expensive, but then look for other alternatives to earn money if you do not get money from the dental assisting or any other dental related activity that you do. But just make sure that you focus on your destination, and then take journey and enjoy it, because I met wonderful people along my journey, and I cannot be thank them like enough. I am very grateful to them, and I'm so happy that I met them, because from each and every person, even if they said negative or positive thing, there is something that you can learn from those things. And then again, it's very important. So it definitely helped me, and I'm just like so happy that I met all of those people, even when I was attending such webinars with Flynn, and I was on the other side, like you guys, and I was always thinking, I don't know when I will be able to be on the other side, maybe telling aspirants that what I did. But then yes, it worked out. So I'm sure it will work for you guys. So to just don't be disheartened, and just enjoy the journey. And yes, reach out to your family, friends, if you ever need a break, because this is very important. Because I sometimes did not take a break, and it did affect me. So that's why I'm telling you, focus on your health, take the breaks, and then enjoy the time as well, because this time is also not coming back. Yeah.
Okay. I love that you ended on that note. I know the what we asked for her is a brief, but then I think her journey is just so comprehensive. There's no brief available, and I didn't want to break her flow because the inspiration here is priceless, according to me, and all the experiences that she shared. But I think the highest takeaway points for you all definitely should be what she started and ended with, which is please take a break when you have to do, take a break. I don't think a lot of people will ask you to pause and take the time for yourself, but that is extremely important. Burnout is a very important thing, something that you will not see coming at all, then you will just collapse. And not to sound dramatic, but it's true. We have seen so many people go through that. So you want to be around the people that will inspire you, like she said. And okay, a lot of takeaways there. I'm just going to go into like a couple of things you mentioned, Utsavi, and then we'll take questions as well. So one thing that you mentioned, and it was also a very common question in what we got, the list of questions we got, was about TOEFL. So I understand that now the TOEFL pattern has changed, but my focal point is more about how you wrote so many times and then still went through it and then finally got a score which I am assuming you were happy with. So what were your progressive steps in terms of like changing your method, or how did you do that?
Sure. So basically, I took all type of TOEFLs, like 4 hour TOEFL, 3 hour, and 2 hour as well. I took all type of them, so then I was kind of familiar with that. But my weak sections were mainly reading and listening because I was good with speaking and writing. So then I mainly focused on reading and listening. Reading may seem easy, but it is not. Maybe for some of you it would be, but for me it wasn't at all. So then what I kept doing was that I kept practicing in terms of there are many free websites like Chinese websites or maybe on even YouTube there are many free, I guess TST Prep, and there are so many. I'm sure Caapid Simplified also has TOEFL resources. So main point is that keep practicing, because and also keep reviewing like all the strategies. So I also reviewed Noteful because I had taken the diamond course or something from them, and then they had some strategies, so that helped me. But again, do what works best for you and focus on your weak areas. Try to do one practice test every day. And for speaking, I recommend that record yourself and then listen to that and then re-record yourself for the same question and then maybe listen again, and I'm sure you will find it that maybe second time was better. So like that pressure of doing it in 30 seconds, 40 seconds is different than how you speak in general. So that's why I tell you that keep recording, so then I'm sure it will work out. And for writing as well, practice it. So I think it's very important that now that it's just 2 hours, and I'm sure all of you can spare 2 hours for TOEFL. So try to do it every day. If not every day, every other day works well as well, depending on where you are in your journey of TOEFL. But yeah, to go 200 or above 100, it is very important that you keep practicing.
Thank you, Utsavi. And Meenakshi has sent the link of the blog we recently penned, which has, like she said, real life experiences of two dentists who just wrote TOEFL and scored well. So please take a look at that. But coming back to your shadowing experience, Utsavi, I don't know if I mentioned this in one of the webinars before, but what you said, what that reminded me of is how one of our, like another person that I know through the community, she went for her scaling appointment with her husband to a dentist, and then started talking to that dentist, and then eventually that person offered her an appointment, like a shadowing job. So to say that you can find your opportunities anywhere, in networking and talking and just showing up is what is more important. So my question to you is, did you continue your shadowing or whatever you were doing, assisting, at the same clinic for a long time, or you chose to go to like multiple places? I know you were doing weekends, but
Yeah.
did you have like that longevity in one place, or how did that work?
Yes, so actually, I was in New York from like 2016 up until 2022. So then, until I moved to a different state, I continued at the same place because I was familiar with the owner. I was familiar with all the pattern and practice everything. Some people would think that it is better to take different experience, but then with my limitations, it was not feasible. So, which is why I continued at the same place. If you think that you would also want to get experience at a specialist clinic, you can certainly do that. Nothing wrong with it. My only thing is that whatever you do, you should be able to justify when it is asked in the interview, and you cannot be like, yeah, maybe I just did that. Not you cannot be casual about it. So whatever you do, just you should be able to answer about that. So for me, it worked a long time at one place.
All right. And there's another benefit for doing that for if anyone's thinking about your own situation, is that you'll get a stronger letter recommendation from that place if you know the person. So just keep that in mind. Like a lot of people ask us, do we go to different clinics or one? But one clinic for at least a year or more, we would definitely recommend to get a strong letter. All right. So, and now next personal statement, Utsavi. You did mention that, you did go through a lot of versions for you to be satisfied. And while I agree that every person's, or like, it's a very subjective thing because what you want to see in your statement is different. But that being said, what did you like? What are the factual or like objective things that you changed in the statement? And do you think that you could pass on any suggestions or tips to the ones who are listening about crafting their own?
Sure, personal statement is very important. I'm sure all of you know about that because that is your first image that you are giving it to the admissions committee, because personal statement or your written application is uh, giving out the image of yourself without any face. So that's why it is very important. And personal statement, how I did it, how my mentors, suggested me or advised me, is that it is really not important that you list each and every single experience. If I had 10 experience, if I list all 10 of those in personal statement, then there is no difference between CV and my personal statement. Write the most important ones from what you learned from those, and then how it made you maybe a better person, maybe how that will help you to make a better dentist, or how that will shape you. So that is very important. So for example, I can tell you a very small thing about my personal statement is that because I did 10 different things and because I did two preceptorships, I did not go on and on about those preceptorships that yes, I did this and that. Yes, they can actually see what I did in those preceptorship, what I learned. Even, I could say like, oh, I gained XYZ experience from this preceptorship. But then for me, what was more important to write in the personal statement was that by learning this, maybe this could make me a better person in this way, or maybe learning this preceptorship would strengthen my hand skills in a way that that would support me in the dental school, something like that. So my point is that note whichever experience would make you better, or what you learn from that. I also mentioned my research experience. Some people told me that do not mention research experience because some schools do not like it. But then I knew that what my stronger point was. So then that's how I wrote it. That yes, my background for job was analytics. I was a senior analyst, healthcare analyst. And then my research work, I was also doing data analysis. So then this was one of my stronger points. So then I did not brag about it, but at least I wrote two or three sentences and then connected it with dentistry. So again, the only takeaway I can tell you is you do not have to write every single experience in personal statement. That the most important ones. And then one more thing I also see, even in my previous personal statements, it was there that we all go through the similar schooling in each and every country, 4 or 5 years of dental school. We studied the same subjects. So when you write that about your home country dental school, you do not have to write about those things that you went through the rigorous courses and then clinical rotations and those things. Everybody knows that everyone has to do that. Write something compelling which makes you stand out, maybe a case that is memorable for you. That for example, in one of the previous cycles, I wrote a case that I gave the complete denture to a patient who was not socially acceptable, and then as soon as he received the denture, he felt really happy. And then that's where I learned that how the empathy and how just giving a small thing makes person feel better, and how this experience is still with me and how I can carry it to my other experiences. So do something that is very personal to you, and also very important that how you choose your story. Try to find the connection. Do not make it seem disconnected. And one more thing, that everybody, I mean, some people would agree with this, some people would not. So it is very subjective. But then it is very important that, you never have the success all the time. You always fail at some point in your life. It also happened with me, and I wanted to show that. So I did write that, but in one sentence, because you cannot write the sob story in your personal statement. What you need to write is how you come out stronger. So then I wrote my failure in one sentence and how it helped me come back to the dentistry with the same spirit how it was before. So choose your story, but then again it is very important to put in a well presentation, like words and everything. So that's what you need to do, and that's how like I did it. Because even when I got accepted, my personal statement was not correct. That's what I would say. It also looked like CV, and then my mentors gave me like some suggestions, and then after some going back and forth, then I also realized that this is how it should be written.
So don't recite your CV. I mean, it shouldn't be the same format. It should have experiences and stories, and talk about your weaknesses, but let that not be the focal point. But talk about it like very briefly in a line or two, and then just move on and show them how you've persevered. Those are really great points, and some things that people often struggle with, wondering whether they should do it or not. And a couple of other things that I've noticed people struggle with is, Utsavi, one, I'll go to the first one first, which is about MPH. So this was also part of the questions that we got. A lot of people are worried whether if they do an MPH, then will that reflect badly in their journey, because it shows that they've deviated a little bit from dentistry and they're coming back to this. And if yes, then how do they sort of portray that in the statement or in their application? Is the question. Would you have anything to add on to that?
Sure. So basically, what happened was that I was also told from one of the schools that I have non-clinical master's degree. So that's why it is making my application weaker. But then the reality was this is what it was. And I was very aware, like very much aware, when I decided to pursue public health, that what I was getting into. And the main reason I was coming for public health, because I wanted to understand the US healthcare system. Because if I do not understand the basic healthcare system in the US, I would not be able to understand dentistry. And so I knew what I was doing, but then the important thing is how you tie that to dentistry. So I do not say that it is right or wrong, but whatever you do, make sure you are not doing just for the sake of doing it. Because I wanted to do public health, that's why I did it. If you decide that you are doing, for example, oral biology or oral health science, perfectly fine. But it's just that you need to make sure how it is helping you and how it will help your future dental degree. So I think there is no right or wrong answer to this. It's just very subjective, but just make sure if your plan is to pursue DMD or DDS, then you just tie that degree or reason with that.
All right. And the second one, aligning to that, is about, so by the time you reached your fifth cycle, did you feel the need to, or were you wondering whether you should address your multiple cycles in the statement? Did you do that? Or was that a concern for you that you've been, applying?
No, I did not like mention it anywhere.
Okay.
I mean, schools can, I guess, pretty much see that I was a reapplicant, but I think I do not feel that it has the negative impact. I think many people have different opinion. Some people say that if you're a reapplicant, it would show the resilience. Some people say it would may seem bad, but I think schools receive like thousands of applications, so sometimes they do not even have time to check and go back, like if the person is reapplicant or not. If it flags in their system, it is okay. But yeah, nothing wrong with that. Did not mention it in my return application.
All right. Yeah, you just have to make sure your reasoning is very strong or the emotion is strong. And like she said,
Yeah.
don't make it the focal point, right? Whatever you're doing. And this is how you also answer like an interview question if it's a weakness question. State the weakness, tell them why it's a weakness, and then move on to how you're trying to get better or you have gotten better. So focus should always be on your efforts to get better. If not, even if you've not reached there. All right. Okay, Utsavi, we have a few questions here in our chat box, which is directly
Okay.
coming from our participants. So we'll go to that next. Dr.
Sure.
Shweta is thanking you firstly for your time. And then she goes on to ask about letters of recommendation, whether you have any pointers about that.
So, in my previous cycles, I had mixed combination of letter of recommendations, and I did receive like one or two interviews in those previous cycles. So, main is like from dean of your dental school, which is like mandatory for 95% of the schools. One I did get from one of the faculty who was like head of the department in orthodontics. So I did get from him. And then one was from the US dentist that I was dental assisting. But then in the cycle when I applied, I was not in New York. So then I did not have any private clinic experience, but then I had more of preceptorship experience. So I did change my combination this time. I did have my dental school dean, but then I took one from my preceptorship director of UCSF, and then I took one from my research mentor at the University of Michigan because those were my most recent experiences, and I was more confident what they would write about me would be more relevant to my application. So I think I understand schools have different requirements, but then I believe that whoever can speak better for you, that would help your application in a positive way. Get your letters from them. I know that NYU asked for 3 letters from the faculty, but I have seen even I think some different requirements for UPenn as well. But I have seen that you could or your recommenders could directly email them. So that would satisfy the requirement as well if you do not upload them in just CAPID itself. So I think you could choose any combination which works for you, but just make sure that they could be able to like write something which actually blends with your application, because sometimes it happens that they write something totally different because we don't know what they're writing absolutely, and then our application says something different. So please choose your recommenders wisely.
Got it. I just want to clarify there. You took in the one cycle, you took one research mentor and UCSF preceptor director and dean. So
Yes,
you
that was
bypassed
the
the
same.
entire professor. Okay.
Yes. It was the cycle when I got accepted in 2024. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. And on that note, I just, if anyone's again wondering, just going through each topic as we're going through it, the fact that Utsavi took a letter from UCSF, I think, works more because she went for a longer preceptorship, right, Utsavi?
Yeah.
You wouldn't have taken it from the Boston director, I think, because that was a 1 month preceptorship.
Actually, they were not giving at all because I think many people
Oh.
there, so they do
Asking,
not have
yeah,
that
Boston, a
system.
lot of
Yeah,
people go,
yeah.
correct. But coming to the point of duration, knowing like someone knowing her for a year or more is a very, very strong, effective letter, especially in the American setting. But if it's a shorter period of time, don't approach them. But longer, then that's amazing that like both the letters came from a different facility. All right. The next question is from Dr. Shanti. Do you suggest we apply to schools that have never invited before? I think you mean to say that, do you suggest that we apply to schools in our reapplication cycles, where even in the last cycle, previous cycle, we have not been called?
Yes,
I think, yeah.
definitely. Definitely, because apply to any schools like wherever you can, because uh, yeah, I don't think it matters because I got accepted at Tufts, and Tufts was only accepting green card holders or US citizens until the cycle of 2023. And 2024 they changed it, so I never applied to Tufts before, and then I applied it. So I don't think the status of your immigration, again depending on the school requirements, but application or reapplication status matters when you are applying to school.
And to reverse the question, did you reapply to schools? Like that's also schools that
Yeah.
rejected you before or called you and
Yes.
then didn't accept you. You apply to
Yeah.
them as well, right? But with
Yes. Yes.
improvements
Yes.
in your profile.
Definitely. Yes.
All right. Okay. That's also something a lot of people hesitate to apply. So don't do that. Just make sure
No.
that you have done something, constructive to show them that there's a reason for them to call you. But definitely, and some schools are very big on calling reapplicants. And like CU and all constantly do call reapplicants. So that opportunity is always, always there. Um, Dr. Krupa. Oh, you have an MPH person here. I'm an MPH and I would love to teach dentistry and do research in oral epidemiology after DDS. Can I write that as my long-term goal in my SOP, or should I just mention the clinical aspect of dentistry? What do you
So
think?
uh, again, nothing right or wrong. Any whatever your goals are, you should just clearly mention that. If you want to do research, no harm in that. It does not like have to be clinical to get into the dental school. But and I think even goals change. I'm not denying that. But then whatever your goal is, just because you would mention research doesn't mean that that would look bad. So whatever you think your actual goal is, you can mention that. Just make sure that that ties well with the theme of your personal statement. That is very important.
Yes, that's absolutely right. And there's, like she said, there's nothing wrong in talking about your long-term goal. A lot of people, even without doing MPH, do talk about how they want to get into, teaching and didactics and research at some point in the future. But they stick to talking about how knowing the basics of dentistry in the US is primary for them. Because like Utsavi said, she mentioned a very important thing, which because she really wanted to do MPH, her reasoning is how do I go into dentistry without understanding the basic healthcare system in the US. So these sound very basic, but when you really feel that, it's actually very important, right? When it's your true reason. All right. Dr. Nitya Jha has a question. Did you include your public health experiences along with your dental experiences in the CV, I think, your CV and your application portal? Or did you have a separate section for them in your CV?
So yes, I did include my public health experience as well because I was on H1B, which is work visa, and most of my time I was spending doing my full-time job. So it is very important for the schools to know as well that what type of experience I was gaining. And so I did mention that in my CAPID application as well. Regarding CV, I did have a separate section which mentioned about dental experiences and non-dental experiences. I had like almost 6 years of non-dental experience. So I did mention that. But again, I did not write too much about it in my job duties. So I wrote like one or two pointers for that. But yes, I did have a separate section in my CV for that.
All right. I think a few other students, I mean, applicants had also asked this in the list of questions we got. CV is very like there's you can play around with that a little bit, and move the sections around and try to just do different things, but make sure that it's reader friendly and the perception is good. That's the only thing. And like she said, it's probably makes sense to write non-dental separately so that it's more reader friendly and they can segregate both, but you can like find out more creative ways to do it. Dr. Sandeep asks, did you receive invitations from schools? Where you did your preceptorships? Interesting question.
Yes, that is interesting. And then before answering that question, I just want to tell you that do not rely on preceptorship to get your invitation. I did my
Yes.
preceptorship at Boston. I never received an interview call from them, but still, it was useful for me to understand. Before I applied to UCSF for the preceptorship, I had an interview and I got rejected. And after that, I applied to UCSF. But while I was doing preceptorship, I was not invited for an interview, even when I was there. So, you cannot be so sure about it that yes, I will do preceptorship and I will get into that. Unfortunately, that did not work for me. Sometimes it do work for people, but just do not have that, overconfidence. If it does not work out, I'm sorry, I mean, you just have to accept it, but just understand that experience can lead you to somewhere else as well.
Yes. All right. Moving on. Um, and I think Dr. Sandeep has another question, which is in how many schools should we apply? How many schools did you apply to? So let's like shift the question to you.
So every cycle, I can say that on an average, I apply to 15 to 20 schools to, make my choice more broader, and not in terms of keeping my personal choice broader. So at least my profile could be matched for any of the schools because it is getting highly competitive. And unfortunately, even when I'm in the school, I do not have a specific answer to what schools are looking for. You could just broaden your chances and try to, see that where it can work out. And when I got accepted, I did apply to 18 schools.
Awesome. Um, and also like just as a takeaway again, do apply to as many schools as you can. That should be a thumb rule. As many as your finances let you, please do, because then your probability increases, like how she wrote to some 80 facilities and got calls from 2 places or 5 maybe about her research. So just probability increases to definitely apply to as many as you can. um, Yes, and Dr. Krupa asks, also, do Tufts prefer fresh graduates for DDS program? And I want to reshape that question a bit, which is, what does the demographic at Tufts look like in your cohort right now?
Yes, so currently my class definitely includes someone who is a fresh grad and someone who has years of experience,
Okay.
someone who has specialty in a specific area. So there is no specific set of profile, unfortunately. It's just that they would see the candidate, their written application, and then if they invite you for an interview, then how you perform or how you present yourself in the interview, that is also very important.
All right. And this is not to draw conclusion about whether this matters in acceptance, but just to understand the cohort again. What is a nationality or like ethnicity like in your demographic? Like, are there a lot of people from all over, or is it
Yes,
concentrated?
so actually,
Okay.
I know how I have seen my friends at other schools, like majority are from like a specific country. But
Yes.
then the best part of my current cohort is that it's so diverse that we are 36 individuals from 24 different countries. So,
Wow.
no, yes, so it's the most
I've never.
diverse. Yeah.
Wow. Nice.
So,
Okay.
they are actually like they have the picked from one, two, or maybe three individual at the max from a specific country. So,
Okay.
Tufts is very diverse. And then I think our current cohort is, I think, the most diverse in the history as well. And then I think all of us are very happy about that.
That is nice. Okay, all right. So there's no specification about. So the good thing about this is that there's more chance for everyone. The countries where a lot of people get selected from are anyway in a safe space, but I've heard about a lot of countries in especially South America and other places where they worry that they will not stand a chance, and even the Gulf for that matter, but in the Middle East that is. All right. Okay. Going ahead with the next question, Utsavi. Dr. Pranshu has asked, how was your GPA, if that's okay with you sharing?
Uh, I'm sorry, I would not like to share. The reason only for that is that I have seen that people keep comparing their GPAs with the people who have been accepted, which is unfortunately not right. The only
Got it.
reason I can tell you is that your home country GPA is something which which you already completed. You cannot change anything about it. If it's higher or lower, whatever it is, so just keep working for other things which are in your control rather than focusing on what your GPA is, if that matches with, accepted students' application or not.
Yes, what she said is right. What is done is done. It's in the past. You cannot go back and change it. If you have a really low GPA, which I mean, like in two pointers, or also it's a little comparative to your country. That is also something that the admission committee themselves have said out loud. And recently, when I spoke to someone in ADA admissions as well, they said about how every country they have a relative parameter. So if you have a lower GPA in relation to your country, then definitely do more things to show them that you. That being said, they do look at it holistically. So you just have to show them that you keep improving. And any other exams or tests that you're doing in the US right now, from here on out, try to perform really well or as much as you can. Like work hard for that. Did you get invitation from the same school twice in your application process? They called you, rejected you, and then called you again, or
Uh,
called
well, un-
and then called you again. Yeah.
unfortunately, that never happened with me. I was hoping, but it did not. For some people, it did. I have heard that. For me, it did not. I was only called once from different schools, and that was it.
All right. So no confusion there for you. But yeah, it
Yes.
just happened. Like Utsavi said, there are applicants who have heard back again from the same school after interviewing there or after giving bench there, which takes us back to our point that do reapply if you have, like improve and reapply. I think these are our questions here, and we have Dr. Madiha with a raised hand for a while. Madiha, please go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Utsavi. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. And congratulations for your invite to TUF.
Thank you.
I really wanted to know your experience with the interview committee, with all the whatever schools that you applied to, how your interviews went, and how did you feel throughout the interview?
During like all 5 cycles, I had interviews with different schools, but then from each interview, I learned something. For example, my very first interview was at VCU, Virginia, and I practiced a lot. Even Flynn knew that, like I was practicing a lot for the interview. And then the bench test was there. So when I got the interview for Virginia, I mean bench test, I never picked up like aeroter in 6 years, and that's when I went to do the bench prep course. The Virginia bench was really intense. It was 8 hours of bench, but again, I got rejected. However, it definitely showed me how much more I needed to practice, because definitely I was not there yet, which is why I got rejected. But it gave me really good experience. Like you learn how to perform under the pressure, under the time limit, and what mistakes you make, and so that you do not make those mistakes again. And yeah, other interviews also like taught me. Even like when I was interviewed at UCSF, it was totally Kira. That was my very first time. So Tufts also had one round of Kira. So maybe that Kira helped me to perform better in my this Kira. So every interview just teaches you something. Yes, it is disheartening that you do not get accepted, but until you get accepted, and if you are receiving interview, that means your return application is going well. So you cleared the first step, and then now you just need to focus more on interview skills.
Thank you so much. I have one more question. I'm currently volunteering at a dental clinic, and I just wanted to know how can I make the most out of that experience. I cannot work here, so I'm just volunteering like 3 days a week, the most I can go at least.
Totally, absolutely okay. I was going 1 day a week, so absolutely not a problem. Try to learn all the complexities the day that you spend there, maybe starting from the insurance and billing and how the front end or back end of the office works, taking of the x-rays. I know that our home country do not have, at least India did not have when I studied, like the bite wing and then those rings and everything. So then I learned those things here. So you learn different things, and again, each country is different in terms of teaching style. So nothing is wrong, it's just that you evolve when you learn new things. So then just try to make sure your communication skills, how you talk to patient, how your dentist is talking to the patient, if there are any changes to the specific procedure which you already know how to do it. Then if something is different, then maybe you can talk to the dentist about it, how the dentist is doing it, what type of materials are being used, how they are different from what you have used. So you can just try to observe and learn in each and every aspect of your experience, so then you can make your day productive whenever you are there.
Okay, thank you so much for the insight.
But sure.
My last question to wrap up was about the interview, but I think Maria has sort of done that for me already. So thank you. But just a follow-up question on that is, Utsavi, you did mention that you did one Kira, two Kiras, right? Tufts and
Yeah.
UCSF, and had a couple of other interviews as well. So what can you like, if not the questions, if can you at least brief us about like what kind of questions did you encounter in different places? Did you have ethical questions, dental, like clinical questions, behavioral? What was it like?
I think each school asked me different questions. So for Virginia, when I gave interview, it was more of like a personal interview question because it was an open CV interview. So they were asking me questions from my CV and then also our regular general interview questions. So that was more of like a general and personal and professional mix of that. For UCSF Kira, I think it was a little bit of dental and then a little bit of ethical as well. So it was mixed on that. And then I had Colorado interview that was more on ethical, heavily on ethical and behavioral. And then it had radiograph. So that included that. And then my Tufts interview had three components. One was Kira, one was in person, and the another one was live on Zoom with another faculty. That Kira also mainly included like the ethical behavioral questions, but also related to in terms of like dentistry as a healthcare. So not in terms of to test your dental knowledge, but how you would encounter a situation in dentistry and then how you would take care of this. Yeah. So that was more on like behavioral or ethical side.
Okay, thank you, Utsavi. And anything about the bench that you'll be able to like leave them with? Any overview tips?
Sure. Talks did not have a hands-on bench, but we did have like a preclinical type of assessment where we have to like identify a few things related to bench test, and that's how we answer those things. So basically, it was not like a typical bench test. I would say it's a preclinical assessment that we have to do.
Okay, thank you, Utsavi. All right. We have three more questions. One is Dr. Shanti asks, can you share what you like about Tufts? Three
Yes,
weeks in.
definitely. I love the way we are like a family at Tufts. It's definitely wonderful, and our wonderful director, Dr. Paddy, he takes care of all of us, and he has been like checking on us since we all get got accepted. Uh, like personally, he was taking care of like if all of us are well, and if there are any obstacles that he can help us clear that, and how we are settling in Boston, every single thing. So how caring the Tufts community is, because I do not feel like I'm part of a school. I feel like I'm a part of a community. And then when like the class is such diverse, like you do feel sometimes that, oh, if there are any cultural differences, but then we never felt that because we are always there for each other. We have like made a big family, so we are like all close knit 36 people. We have wonderful our seniors who have been helping us along the way. So it's just a great place to learn and know people, and then just grow together with your classmates and family. Yeah, that's what I love about it.
That's nice. That's so important to have a family-like community. And most schools do represent that, but also I think some students do talk about it as if it's a larger truth, or it's more of a reality, and it's always nice to hear that. Dr. Sattar, Mohammed Abdul Sattar, you can unmute and speak. Hi, Abdul.
Hi, Prin. Hi, Utsavi, and hi, Meenakshi. Uh, Congratulations for your acceptance at Tufts, Utsavi.
Yeah.
I had one question regarding volunteering experience. When I was reviewing my previous application, I missed out two volunteer experience. So can I add those volunteer experience now in my new application for this year?
Yes, you can.
And one more thing I would like to ask is two more volunteer experiences are there through which I didn't get any certificate from those organizations. So can I mention that in my application, or I should have any particular certificate to put in my application?
So they do not ask for any certification in CAPID. You can definitely write those things, but then, if, for example, if they want to verify anything, your supervisor at those places should be able to verify that, because you do need to give out the contact information of your supervisors of each and every experiences. It is not mandatory field in the CAPID, but it is highly recommended if you write those fields. And I personally did mention 95% of my experiences which had like contact information.
Okay.
Yeah.
So writing the contact information will be sufficient. It is not like
Yes.
it is not mandatory. Okay.
Yes.
And Tough does Tufts accept candidates who are on B1, B2 visa, or it is like only citizens and green card holders?
So they did expand their immigration requirements starting from the cycle of 2024 to visa holders. But when you are talking about B1, B2, I'm sorry, I'm not actually really familiar with that. So I suggest that you look at the Tufts website, and then if you have any questions related to the residency requirement, I think you can email them. That would be better. So because if any change in information that I may not be aware of, I do not want you to hold on to that, which is why it is better if you just email them and ask.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. Because in the CAPIT program trial, they were saying they accept candidates who are on only green
No.
card. Okay.
I think that is not updated. You should follow the school website.
Website. Okay. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. Thank you so
sure.
much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abdul. Now we can go on to Dr. Krupa.
Hi everyone. Thank you, Utsavi, for sharing your experiences. So I will be graduating with my MPH this year, and I may work as a data analyst. So I was curious to know, how did you tie your data analysis experience to dentistry?
So you can try, what you are learning in that experience, like how that is going to help you in dentistry. Maybe, for example, you mentioned that you want to do, I think, research, right? So then
Mm.
how your current experience with data analytics can help with research. So that's how you can tie it. Maybe how you want to pursue something at the dental school you are planning to go, and how your this skill would help you to achieve that.
Oh.
So there are several different ways that you can tie up your experience, but again, as I mentioned, just include the most important experiences. You do not have to include every single experience in your personal statement.
Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you so much.
sure.
All right. I think with that we come to an end of our questions, and I think we did cover quite a bit. Thank you, Utsavi, for setting the premise wide and deep for them, because I really do think that a lot of them were major learning points and things that I really hope that you all take home and sort of sit with and don't forget, because these are like Utsavi's tips. I think are more for the long term, right? Because our journey's
Yeah.
been like that, and these are things that you should not forget. On a bad day, you should come back and watch this. We'll hopefully put this up soon on YouTube as well. On a day that you're feeling low, you should remember this face and remember that, like, if she did it, you can too. And like she said, find your own story. Don't do it just because Utsavi did it, but find your own passion in it, and then go on. Utsavi, thank you so much. I had a great time, and I think all of them did too. It's really special to see you here, and that you've made it, and that this is the beginning of yet another phase for you. Any parting words to give them to say, like, before they go on with their applications, before we wrap up?
This is the new Caapid cycle opening, maybe a month and a half. So keep going. All the very best to all of you, and I really wish all of you get accepted really soon. And I hope to see you, some of you, at Tufts interview, hopefully. So wish you all the very best. And Flynn, thank you so much for inviting me to share my story. I will be in touch, even like beyond this, because it's always lovely to catch up with you. So we'll be in touch.
Thank you. I look forward to that. Thank
Yeah.
you, guys. Have
Thank
a good
you.
night, good
Good
day.
night.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.